Welcome back, college football, Hawkeye, and Buckeye fans alike, to another episode of the Touchdown Black and Gold Vlog, the channel created by the college football fan for the college football fan, the only channel where we examine, discuss, celebrate, and honor all things college football across the entire college football landscape. If you've been out there searching, lost in the wilderness, bogged down in the quagmire of finding a college football safe haven, a safe zone, a place we all come together to give thanks, praise, and talk all things college football, welcome home. You found it here on the Touchdown Black and Gold Vlog. I'm your usual host, Blair Parks. And what I got on tap for you today, this episode is my big time preview and prediction episode for Week 6's big time battle in Columbus, Ohio, when the Iowa Hawkeyes travel to Columbus to take on number 3, the Ohio State Buckeyes, inside the Horseshoe. And once again, it's great to be back here with you all once again. For those of you who have been subscribers and members of the Touchdown Black and Gold Vlog from day one, thank you. Your continued praise for all that you've done for the channel and all that you will continue to do. I appreciate your time, your support, your attention, but I need your help. I want to find more college football fans just like you. So please spread the word, tell your family, your friends, your fellow college football fanatics to check me out here on the Touchdown Black and Gold Vlog. And as I say each and every episode, you are the ones who drive these episodes. So please, I always ask for, welcome, and want your comments. I want you to get involved. So exercise your college football voice. Get involved. Please comment below in the section. I promise I will get back to each and every one of you much sooner than later via those comments. And please like, share, subscribe, rate, comment, click that subscribe button so you definitely can get notifications about when my further future episodes are uploaded and posted for your listening and viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and get into the game that's on tap this coming weekend. Kickoff between Iowa and number 3 Ohio State is at 2:30 Central Time inside the Horseshoe, broadcast on CBS, which if you're a Big Ten fan like myself and you haven't had the opportunity to watch a game on CBS, you're really in for a treat. The graphics are fantastic, as is the broadcast team, everything that goes into it behind the scenes, the effects, the stories. It's awesome. So you're in for a big time treat when you watch this game this Saturday. Currently, Ohio State is favored by 20.5 points. Yeah, that's a pretty big number, but it might end up being too small if you ask me. So, is this a big game? It is a big game. Make no mistake about it, really for both teams. I'm not going to say this is a must-win for either Iowa or Ohio State. And once again, a big thank you and welcome to all of you Bucknut fans who are here with me. You're always welcome here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. So please get involved, like, share, comment, rate. That, yeah, big game, but not must win. I do think this game means more for Ohio State, though. If you were to ask me if I had to pick one team who needs this victory more, Iowa, yeah, would love to have this win, right? No doubt. But then again, where is that really going to get Iowa? I mean, preseason, I picked Iowa. I picked them to go 9-3. I picked them to lose against Iowa State, which they did. I picked them to lose this game against Ohio State, and I picked them to trip up on a Friday night during a short week when they travel out west to take on UCLA on a Friday night. But UCLA really hasn't looked all that impressive early here in the first half of the season, so we'll have to wait and see. So if Iowa loses this game, they still can get to 9 wins, even 10 wins, especially when you look at the schedule that's in front of them. Now, Ohio State This is why I think it's a bigger game for them, because their eyes are clearly eyeballing a college football playoff berth. And this is really the biggest test for either team to this point. When you look at Ohio State's schedule, I mean, last week they did have an impressive road victory in their Big Ten opener at Michigan State, which, yes, this isn't your typical Michigan State squad. They are a little bit down this year under new coach Jonathan Smith from Oregon State. But if you look at the history between Ohio State and Michigan State, going back to the Mark D'Antonio days, Michigan State has always been kind of a thorn in the side of Ohio State. So not a bad victory there, but their non-conference schedule, Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall. There's no real big heavyweights or usual power players on that schedule. When Iowa did play, and as I said, aforementioned, they did lose to Iowa State at home inside Kinnick Stadium in week 2. Iowa State, very good team, currently undefeated, ranked. I did pick them, by the way, to win the Big 12. And they did play, they did win, Iowa did, their Big 10 opener 2 weeks ago, their last game at Minnesota, to recapture the Floyd of Rosedale trophy. So this is, but hands down, this is the biggest challenge either team has faced yet. They are playing, when they look across the sideline on Saturday, they're going to see the best team to date that they've had to face off with. But with that, that's why I think Ohio State needs this game more than Iowa, because if Ohio State does drop a game, which I do think they will, I did predict, because of the unbalanced scheduling, because of the talent that is so spread out now via the transfer portal and NIL, I think there'll be 0 teams that are undefeated come championship weekend. I think everybody's going to have at least 1 loss at the FBS Power 4 level. So if Ohio State does drop a game and Iowa does have the season that I believe they will, 9 or 10 wins, that's going to be a feather in their cap. That's going to be a good data point to get them into the playoff, even if they end up losing the Big Ten conference title, which would give them an automatic bid. But that's going to be a great data point and something they could use to their favor potentially over somebody else when you compare, contrast overall resumes for a playoff spot. So definitely, I think, a bigger game for Ohio State than Iowa. Now, before I get down to my keys to victory for both teams, what I'll be looking for, just in general, and give me about 20 minutes and I'll wrap this up. I do have to go pick up my son from school here shortly. That some people like to think that this is a rivalry game. It's totally not. I mean, when you look at the series notes, and Iowa and Ohio State don't play every year. They were separated from last season and before into either the East and West divisions, the legends and the leaders. If you Big Ten fans remember what a debacle that was, the legends and, was it legends and, I forget what it was. Not legends and listeners, but legends and something else. Yeah, that's how bad it was. So these teams don't meet up each and every season, but the series notes as far as wins over the other is so one-sided in favor of Ohio State that Iowa fans cannot call this a rivalry, and neither can Ohio State fans. It's so one-sided. I mean, kind of like what Pedro Martinez said back in the day about his Boston Red Sox versus the New York Yankees, that, yeah, they're my daddy. They own us. That's really Ohio State over Iowa. I mean, going even back to the Hayden Fry era at Iowa, where they were able to break through, and all the successes that Hayden Fry had at Iowa, leading them to 3 Rose Bowls, had very, very little success straight up against Ohio State. And neither has Kirk Ferentz in the present administration either. I mean, very, very few W's in the win column. It's really been just dominated by Ohio State. And usually it seems like when Iowa has been able to knock off Ohio State, in the long haul, it really hasn't mattered. It hasn't put Iowa into the Rose Bowl or into a playoff berth. It hasn't done that. Playoffs, it hasn't. So it's usually all for nothing. It just is. So not a rivalry at all, but it's a game that I do like to watch. I have uber respect for the Ohio State football program, its fans, the Ohio State University, its fans, what it's accomplished, its tradition. It is one of the bluest of blue bloods. And I'm just hoping that Iowa can go in there, look competitive, maybe be in position to bring home the W. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. So that's kind of overall where I'm at here, looking at this game going into it on Saturday. So 20.5 points. That is a big time point spread, but then again, the guys and gals out there in the desert in Sin City, Las Vegas, tend to usually know a thing or two. Overall, I think this will be a competitive game for at least a half. And I'll give you my final prediction score here in a little bit, so it's got to bear with me. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, click that button, blow up those comments. Can't wait to hear from you, my fellow college football brothers and sisters. Please hit me up. I can't wait to get back to you. So, keys to victory for both of these teams. Let's start with Iowa. As far as what Iowa can do to get out of the horseshoe, pull a huge upset, and procure a victory. First of all, Iowa has to be able to produce some sort of vertical pass game down the field. I mean, this entire season, maybe even the last 3 or 4 seasons, when the Iowa offense has been the ongoing joke of college football, and deservedly so. I mean, I am not some Homer Simpson fan. I can be subjective and objective. I know who my team is and who they're not. I, first and foremost, am a college football fan, just like you, but I love me some black and gold, obviously. But this season, even though the Iowa offense is, leaps and bounds better than it's been the last 3 seasons, we are scoring points, but still, there is no vertical pass game whatsoever. I mean, coming into this game, Iowa's currently 3-1. Ohio State, number 3, Ohio State is 4-0. Through 4 games, Caden McNamara has thrown for only 588 yards, 3 touchdowns to 2 picks, averaging only 5.5 yards per completion. That ain't good. That's not going to get it done. That is not sustainable for success. Now, his completion percentage at 62%, almost 63%, is very good. And that's been missing and lacking at Iowa for a while now. But they continue to do nothing. I think against Minnesota, their last game 2 weeks ago, I think there were only 2 attempts of 20 or more yards in the air, and I think only one of them was completed to their wide receiver Vanderzee, I believe. But they just continue to not take chances. And it's also not just Caden McNamara, but I've watched the Iowa wide receivers continue to just get bullied and used and abused, but legally, right? They just can't get separation. So Caden McNamara, it's not all on him. And I think the offensive line is giving him ample time and protection for the most part. Those wide receivers are not doing him any favors. They just cannot get separation and get open. So Iowa has to do that. If they're able to throw for 200 yards and maybe get 1 touchdown reception to no interceptions, that will absolutely aid them in victory, potentially on Saturday. Another key to victory for Iowa, you have got to continue to do what you're doing. I mean, right now, the key for Iowa is their loaded running back room. I mean, this group of running backs, they have 4 who are proven guys who can tote the rock. They all have experience, led by the bell cow, the beast, Caleb Johnson. That's what Iowa is really going to have to hang their hat on in this game. And I think the rest of the season. I mean, especially Caleb Johnson, he has separated himself. He is the man among men. I mean, his numbers coming into this game, and I've told people this, that, it's not me being that fan, but right now, if he continues to produce at the level he is going to find himself invited to NYC to be a Heisman Trophy finalist. He just is. I mean, 4 games into the season, he leads the all-power 4 teams in rushing with 685 yards, an average of 8.4. That's getting it done. With 9 touchdowns. I mean, yes, he is behind the stud Boise State running back overall in total rushing yards. What's the young man's name? Ashton Jeanty. I mean, he's ahead of him, but Iowa's schedule has been a little bit more difficult overall. So if Caleb Johnson, if this running back room and core can continue to do what they do, they're going to be in position at near the end of the game to potentially get that victory. And I think what they need to do, they need to try to get 200 to 250 yards total rushing. Now, I know that's going to be tough sledding against a very, very, very good Ohio State defense, especially their front 7. It is going to be a challenge, but that's who Iowa is. And Iowa's offensive line so far this season, which a very, very veteran offensive line, they have absolutely looked the part. They've looked very Iowa-like, especially in run blocking. They are opening those holes and those gaps. I mean, parting the Red Seas at time, even to where a guy like me, a 43-year-old broken down pug, could even run through that hole. So they've got to be able to run the ball. And their third key, they have got to win those intangibles. They have got to win and check mark, here's the goals. Like, for example, they can't have any special teams gaffes, no muffed punts, nothing like that. They can't miss any field goal attempts or extra points. They must be sound in the special teams. So they have to check that off. They also have to continue to be very disciplined as they have been. They, I think, are among, if not leading, the entire nation in fewest penalties a game. So they got to continue to do that, win the penalty battle, and they absolutely have to win the turnover margin. I think for Iowa to be in position to win this game, I think they have to be about +2 in the turnover ratio during Saturday's game to be able to spring this huge upset. So those 3 things: be sound on special teams, win the penalties, right? And win the turnovers. That's going to be Iowa's keys to victory. Now, for Ohio State, their keys to victory is just do what Ohio State does. This is wide receiver university, and I don't care what other schools happen to say or think about that. It's the truth, all right? Just is. To where they have weapons all over the field, especially on the perimeter, on the outside, with Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Jigba. I mean, these guys are absolute studs. And that has really been one of Iowa's weaknesses this year, is they haven't been the Iowa defense that we're used to in seasons past for about the last 5. Now, they're still going to end up being a top 20, top 15 defensive unit. They will be, but they just haven't been what we've been accustomed to, maybe even spoiled with there in Iowa City. They're just not quite there, especially in that defensive backfield. Jeremiah Smith has been an absolute stud. Jeremiah Harris. I'm sorry. I do my own stunts here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. That Jeremiah Harris has been an absolute stud for Iowa, but a couple other guys continue to get burned week in and week out. Xavier Nwampa, TJ Hall Jr. Some of these guys are really struggling in the defensive backfield in that second half. They've given up more big plays of 2 20 yards or more already this season compared to last year. And I think they actually eclipsed that after week 3 against Troy. So they are vulnerable to that deep ball. They absolutely are. So Iowa has got to tighten up the chin straps with that. But Iowa is coming off of a bye week to prepare for this. So I'm sure that's been something that they've been focused on. Now, another thing for Ohio State to win this game, it kind of goes hand in hand with, hey, airing the ball out downfield, picking on Iowa's secondary, is just protecting the quarterback. And they do have a new quarterback, Will Howard, transferred in from Kansas State, having a very, very good season. What's also helping Iowa's opponents get those big chunk plays against them, especially in the passing game, is the Iowa defensive line really isn't producing the sacks, hurries, hits, or pressure that they need to this point. I think at this point in the season, I think they only have been able to muster 10 sacks as Iowa's defense. Really, once again, un-Iowa-like. They've been very good at tackling and holding that point of contact, but they're just not getting in the backfield of opponents enough. So if Ohio State can keep Will Howard upright, clean, give him the time, it definitely bodes well for the Buckeyes. So definitely give him protection. And the last key to victory for Ohio State that I see is don't help Iowa out, all right? Don't help them out. Don't try to get caught up and drug into a phone booth and try to have a good old-fashioned rock fight. Don't try to out Iowa. Iowa, that plays into our favor. Just play your game. So that means also, hey, take care of the football. Don't let Iowa get that turnover ratio that I think they so desperately need. Don't set them up for potential easy points. Don't play field position. Make this offense drive the field and get points, all right? Especially through the air. I mean, just stack the box and make Iowa throw the ball. Because right now, the Hawkeyes, we haven't shown that we can do that against anybody, all right? So sell out against the run and do that until Iowa makes you think twice, and then you drop those corners and safeties back. So just don't help Iowa out. Play your game. Don't try to come down and play to what our level is or our game plan. All right? Now, how do I see this game playing out? And thank you for all you do. Please like, share, comment, get involved. Can't wait to hear from you. Subscribe. How I see this game playing out, I think this will be a very competitive game, especially in the first half. I think at halftime, this will be a two-possession game, whether it's 10 points, 12, 13, 14, but I think no more than that. Because I think both of these OCs are going to attempt to feel each other out. Maybe run. I mean, we've seen new offensive coordinator Chip Kelly there at Ohio State be a little bit more prone to ground and pound, which they should. They've got two stud running backs back there in Quinshon Judkins and TreVeyon Henderson. And also we've seen Tim Lester for Iowa do this too, kind of feel the opponent out in the first half a little bit. So I think it will be close at the half, but I think the second half, how I see this playing out, I just think Ohio State has way too many weapons. I think it will be a much better showing than the last time Iowa went to the horseshoe, I think 3 seasons ago, where it ended up being 54-7. That's right, a 54 burger was dropped on the lap of Iowa last time they went there. I do think it will be a much more competitive game than that, but I do think ultimately final score is going to be Ohio State 34, Iowa 17. I think they'll put the clamps down, and I think late in the second half, the fourth quarter, Iowa's going to have to be forced to kind of get outside of their comfort zone, maybe go for it, numerous attempts on fourth down to go, come up short, turn the ball over. So I think it might be a little bit closer than what the scoreboard might show ultimately, but I do think they do cruise to victory. So obviously then I don't anticipate Ohio State covering. I don't think they're going to defeat Iowa by 21 points. I just don't see that happening though. All right? But I am optimistic. I mean, once again, the last time Ohio State played at Iowa in Kinnick Stadium, we did drop a 55 burger on the Buckeyes. And are they looking potentially at a look-ahead spot, the Buckeyes? I think yes, because next week they travel out west to take on the Ducks up in Eugene, which will be the Big Ten conference game of the season. Both teams currently are in the top 6. No disrespect to either Ohio State or Michigan fans watching. I know both of you just rolled your eyes and probably, threw up in your mouths a little bit, hearing fan bases or the names of the other opponent there. So no disrespect to the game, but Ohio State at Oregon will be the Big Ten conference game of the season. So perhaps Ohio State might be in a little bit of a letdown position looking ahead to that big matchup. And maybe Iowa can pounce on them early, possibly. All right, and that's really why I think Iowa defeated them last time in Kinnick by put 55 points on them. I just think the previous week before, if you remember, you guys defeated Penn State at home via that late fourth quarter drive over a top 10 ranked Penn State. Then you come to sleepy Iowa City and just don't come out inspired. Absolute typical letdown, a classic letdown spot right there. So maybe that happens. Maybe Iowa has a little bit of an advantage with that. But unlike his predecessor, Coach Ryan Day has not really had a letdown game per se yet. Now, Urban Meyer, yes, one of the best college football coaches of all time, definitely did have that. 1 year against Rondell Moore and Purdue and those boys, and then against the Hawkeyes in Kinnick Stadium, which I've already mentioned. So Ryan Day has never really had that bad loss, okay? And if they lose this game, it would be a bad loss. There's no doubt. So that's kind of what I see, 34-17, Ohio State over Iowa. I just want to see a good game. And Iowa, if you lose, hey, everything is still in front of you. I mean, the ability to have a really good year, going 9-3 or 10-2, is still right in front of you. If Iowa goes 10-2, then maybe they're going to be in that potential playoff discussion for one of the last available spots. And Ohio State, you take care of business. This is going to be a good, big-time victory for you as far as, like I said, to separate yourselves from others who are trying to vie for a playoff berth. So that's how I see it. I appreciate you, your time, your attention. Please spread the word, like, share, subscribe, comment, tell everybody to check me out here in the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. I will be back tomorrow afternoon for my Week 6 preview and picks episode. So until then, hey, click subscribe so you can get notifications. I can't wait to hear from you. I'll see you tomorrow. Go Hawks. Adios from the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog.